Hi friends, it's Yana here today, and as I was looking through some of the comments on some old videos, I found a question about the Nightfall Cape, if it could be made without a hood. And I got to thinking, I haven't sewn that pattern in forever, and it is such a cute pattern, so I thought, you know what? We're going to do a hack today. We're going to be removing the hood of the Nightfall Cape, and we're going to be adding some side seams so I can stick my hands out and it could be like a very sophisticated coat. I'm so excited about it. I might even add some little bit of length so it's a little bit longer because it hits right at hip. I want it to be a little bit longer, so I probably will add some length, and we're going to see how it turns out. This is going to be my trial version. I'm going to be doing it with knit, but I think this pattern would work just fine with some woven as well. I think like some wool or something would make this coat just amazing. So I'm going to be making this trial version, and then I'm going to run to the store and find some beautiful fabric, and hopefully before winter is over I will make this cape coat. So let's get started. All right friends, we're going to get started cutting up this pattern. I'm going to be using this beautiful cozy fabric that I have. I hope I have enough. It was a leftover from a sweater that I sewed up a little bit ago. And it's like a thick fabric, but it's a woven, a knit. And it kind of looks like faux knitted, like a faux knit. Well, it's really pretty. Anyway, we're going to be using that, and we're going to lay out the cape. Let's start with the one that's cut on the fold. So the front and the back you can fit into two different places. Okay, so the back is cut on the fold, so we want to cut that one first, because then the front and the back will fit into little different places over here. I wanted to add some length, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to with the fabric that the amount of fabric that I have. Let's see. No, I think it's going to be just precise. So I'm going to have to keep it the regular length. But if you wanted to add length, I'm going to show you what I would do to add length to this pattern. If I do end up adding length on my second trial, on my second one, I could add a little bit here. I'm going to cut it right here in the middle, and then add however much length you want to add to it. And the reason why I'm adding the length here instead of adding the length at the bottom is because I don't want the bottom piece to be any wider than it already is. If I add length at the bottom, I'm going to get wider and wider, and I don't really want to get wider. I just want to get longer. So I'm adding length here in the middle. I think I'm adding about an inch. Yep, that's an inch of length here. That's all I'm going to add to this one, and we'll see how it goes. And then here we're just going to match these up as I cut through. So let's cut it all up. That's the only thing I'm doing different, just adding a little bit of length, and then I'm just going to cut it all up like I would on a regular basis. I'm not cutting the hood because I'm not attaching a hood. So yeah, let's do it. These sometimes have a hard time with woven knits because they have like little pieces that get stuck here in the middle. All right, now I'm going to cut the other piece that's kind of two-sided, and I'm also going to add an inch there. Okay, I just realized I do not have enough to add the inch, and it's actually shorter. So the front might have to be a little bit shorter on this tester. All right, for the sake of us getting the full effect of the length, I'm going to just have to add a little bit of length to this, because then I can trim it later if I want it to be short. I'll just trim off the extra inchage here, and it'll be fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this extra fabric I have here, and I'm just going to attach it to the bottom here. So I'll have like a seam here, but we will be able to cut it the length that I want to, and we'll be able to see what it looks like. Yes, we'll have a seam, but that's okay, because then we can cut the seam off later, but at least we'll get an idea of if this works or not. And then I'll just later cut the seam and make it a short coat, a short cape. and you'll be fine. So I'm gonna piece this together here real quickly, and then I'm gonna finish cutting it just like I did the other one, and then we're gonna start sewing it together. All right, I'm ready to get this cape started. I'm super excited. There's only 3 pieces. Well, here's my piece that I added length to. Yeah, so you can see it, but it's okay. We're gonna just move on. We'll see how it ends up. We may have to like add like a visual thing to the other side of the jacket if it works well, or I might just trim it. We don't know. Anyway, okay, so here's my back, and it does this little shape because this is the shoulder area here and then the side. Now, what I want to do is I want to have an area here where I'm going to be doing an area where I can put my arm in. So I'm seeing my shoulder slope here. So this is like my shoulder, and it goes down and here. So I'm going to go down about, see, here's where it's turning. My pattern piece starts kind of turning down, sloping down to the arm. And I'm going to leave a few inches for like my shoulder area. And then I'm going to start doing the hole. Now, what you can do is you can hang this cape like over your shoulders. Just hang it over your shoulders, or hang the front over your shoulders here. Like this is your neckline, so place it like on your neckline and on your shoulder, and then look exactly where you want your arm to come out and mark that. All right, I figured we could do this part together. So here is the straight part, and here's the part that's like rounded, which is my side. So it's gonna go this way because this is the front, right? So I'm gonna place this like right up my shoulder up here, and I'm kind of see where I want my arm to come out. I want my arm to come out right here. So I'm gonna like pin right over here is where I want to start this gap. Honestly, it's just gonna be a wide gap on the side that I'm gonna open up and hem and open up and hem. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to have like, you know, certain sizing. So just make sure that you have enough room for your arm to come out. And we're gonna go like down to like right here. I can go lower here. I don't want to. Just kind of put your pin clip there, and here it is, like right there is perfect. And we're gonna go to like down here. So now that I've got this marked, I'm gonna use this markings, and I'm going to place them on the other pieces as well. All right, so here's my marked piece. I'm gonna place it over the back piece and mark them all. I want to mark every piece so I know exactly where I'm going to be leaving the opening. There's that one. We're going to go to the other side, mark the other side, and then we're going to mark the other front piece. All right. Now, once we have that marked, we're going to actually grab the piece that matches up. So here's the front and here's the side, and we're going to match up those sides here. And we're going to sew from the neck area all the way down to the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a serger, because I'm just going to do a serger. Or you can use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. That's fine. But I'm going to start with a serger, and I'm going to stop about an inch away from where I'm going to start this piece. I'm also going to put a pin here because I might not be able to tell by just looking at the clip. So we'll do a pin instead. So I'm going to sew all the way down, and about an inch away, I'm going to stop my serger, because then I'm going to use a straight stitch here so I can open the seam allowance and top stitch this area here. Now for this sew, I'm not going to be lining this cape. This is going to be just a regular cape, not lined. And the reason why I'm not lining this cape is because of the fact that I am in South Georgia, so it's kind of warm and I don't want it to be any thicker than it already is. But if you want a really luxe coat or cape, you want to do the lining. So you will do the same step to the outer piece and to the lining piece, and then we'll put those pieces together. Then what you do at the end is, instead, I'm going to be hemming here all the way around. Instead of hemming, you will place both pieces together and sew it all the way around. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. So I'm going to do the same on the bottom here. And I'm going to start from the bottom, sew up about an inch away with my serger, and then with my sewing machine, finish up the rest to that point right there. And we're going to do the same on the other side. All right, let's go sew that. All right, we're about an inch away. So and we're going to close this up with our sewing machine. I'll go over to my sewing machine in a minute, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. All right, now that we're here at the sewing machine, I'm gonna start right at the edge of my serged edge. So I wanna follow that serge edge right there, and I'm gonna go down to the pin and backstitch. Because I wanna leave the seam allowance there. Oh, I would help if I had some bobbin thread. All right, here we go again. I'm gonna start there at the edge of the stitch, the serger stitch, and I'm gonna go straight down and back stitch here because I wanna have a little area that I'm gonna open up so I can hem this down where my opening is gonna be. Okay, so now if I'm doing the two sides, if I'm doing the liner and the outer, then I can sew the liner to the outer around this edge, right sides together, sewing them right here, and you're gonna go sew around and go all the way down if you're doing a lining. But I'm not doing a lining, so I'm gonna top stitch. So it's the same principle, it's just that I'm just turning in to top stitch it to the actual bodice like this, like that, and top stitch that down to create the opening for my arm. We're gonna do the same thing here at the bottom, and we're gonna do that for both sides. Alrighty, now, if you're lining, you're gonna do the exact same thing for your lining piece. And then I'm going to steam this seam and also this opening here. I have to use a cloth because this fabric is very sensitive and I don't wanna burn it. So I'm using a cloth to iron over it. But what I'm doing is folding this seam allowance open here where I created this gap, so that way I can create this top stitch this open and it will be my opening on the side. If you're doing the lining, you will create the other lining, and what you will do is you'll place them right sides together. Let me just act like this is my lining. So here's my outer. This is supposedly my lining, but it isn't, it's just my other side. And what I would do is I'll put them right sides together and sew them around, right sides together. So this edge right here to create this opening here. So you're sewing them together here on the side, right sides together, and that's how you would create the opening. And then you would sew them all the way around the bottom and the top, right sides together. There's no hood, so you would just sew this straight, right sides together all the way around, leaving a gap at the bottom where you're gonna turn it inside out, top stitch it, and basically you're done. But because I am not doing the lining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first hem this and then hem all the way around, and that's it. That is such a simple, quick sew that I think it's gonna be adorable. I'm also going to steam this seams because this fabric is it's kind of like a heavy knit, so it ripples when you sew it. And all you got to do is steam it. So I'm going to show you that too. So I'm opening this up, my seam allowance here, and steaming. See how that already looks so much better here? So hard to steam with a cloth over it because you can't see your fabric and you can't move it. But it's all right. I don't want to ruin my fabric, so I'd rather take it easy and do it with a cloth. Look at how much better that looks. This is my shoulder area, so that's why it kind of curves, but my seams are looking nice and even now. So here on this part, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this to create my opening here. Go over to either my sewing machine with a stretch stitch or on my cover stitch. I think I might just go to my sewing machine. And this pattern, I think you can use a regular woven for this pattern as well. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use a like a nice wool or something like that, that would create this beautiful cape. So beautiful. I might look for something like that when I create my my actual one. Like this one, I'll still be able to wear, and I think it's still gonna be adorable. But I want to create one that just over the top, and I might put some gold buttons on it or something, like just fancy, which would be so nice. All right, look at that, so nice. If you're using a wool fabric to create this, you also are going to want to use a cloth like this to steam it, because you don't want to burn your fabric. This is just a regular cotton that I'm using to steam the fabric. Thin cotton. Just creates a nice little barrier for the heat not to burn my fabric. All right, now at the same time, we're going to, I am hemming all the way around, like I said, because I'm not lining. So at the same time, we're going to go ahead and steam all this down and hem all the way around the front, the top, and the bottom of my coat. If you did not want to be able to see the stitching from the inside, from the outside, if you're lining, you won't be able to see the stitching from the outside because you'll be sewing the two fabrics together at the raw edge. But since I'm not lining and I'm top stitching, you really could do like a blind hem, or you could do a you hand stitch it. And I've seen, you know, if I'm doing like a luxe coat, like with maybe using some wool or something like that, I think you would want to, first of all, you would probably want to line it because the inside might be a little bit itchy. So I would line it with like some satin or silk. Or if you wanted to hand stitch it, hand stitching would be the best, probably the best way to close up the hem if you're hemming, because it just would give it a very nice look. On this one, because this is a more of a like casual look, I think the hem would be just fine. To hem it like a cream color, a white color, would blend right in. But like I said, if I'm doing like a fancy one that's like wool or like a suiting or something beautiful like that, I would probably line. And if not line, then I would hem by hand. So I would just stitch a little stitch all the way around. Let's go top stitch all that down and we'll be done. All we've got left to do is we'll put some buttons in the front and we'll be done with this beautiful coat. All right, now we're gonna top stitch around the armholes. All right, friends, we are finished with this cape. I am obsessed. I love this as is. I know that we have this patchwork right here, but I almost feel like if I do this same kind of patchwork here on this side, it'll look intentional and I can still wear this cape. Or do you all think I should just go ahead and cut it right above the line and cut both sides so it just goes straight above the line right there? You let me know in the comments below. I think that this turned out adorable. I love the way that the arm slits work, because now I don't have to remove my cape to take out my arms, and it's still giving me like that extra warmth that I want for the winter time. I'm definitely going to be making this in like a wool or something like that because it is super cute and like really easy to wear. Also, and super easy to sew. Also, I am wondering, do I add buttons? I love it open, but I think with some buttons like down the front or with some clasp or something like that, I think it would be adorable as well. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comment below what you think. Should I add buttons? Should I shorten it? Should I leave it the length? What should I do to it? And what do you think? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!